day, everyone, especially guests of honor, Leonard Krog, Paul Manley, and Sheila Malcolmson. I take great pleasure in warmly welcoming each of you into our traditional Nanaimo First Nation territory. Louise Guilfoy is commended for organizing this all-important event in support of Tony Turner, a folk singer and environmental scientist employed by Environment Canada, who has been suspended from composing and singing these protest songs about Harper and his government. This is about keeping our freedom of speech across Canada sing-along. May our great Creator bestow His many sacred blessings upon each of you, keeping you safe always.
In politics, you know, it's an interesting thing when you can manage to make people of varying views and principles and beliefs coalesce. And so I just want to say, firstly, a large thank you to Louise for organizing this. And of course, I want to say thank you to Stephen Harper for making Canadians pay attention to politics. The reason I say that is this: there's an old saying in politics that, you know, it's one thing when they're mad at you, but when they're laughing at you, you're done. And I would like to think we're all in a pretty good mood here today and laughing at Stephen Harper, because he has become our own national embarrassment in the government he leads. To inspire Canadians across this country to attend events like this tells us that there is something really wrong with our federal government, and all of us have that opportunity guaranteed us by the Constitution of this country on October 19th, or sooner if you get to the advance polls, to actually make a genuine difference for this country and its future. And so I just want to say to all of you in a completely non-partisan way, and I want to be non-partisan as much as I can today, this is about electing a government that will give us proportional representation, that will hopefully never see this country elect a government like Stephen Harper's again, that is so utterly out of touch with the values of Canadians. When Stephen Harper says the Conservative Party values are Canadian values,
no, he also said transparency.
Openness, transparency, and Canadian values, all rolled up in Stephen Harper. Now that is a joke.
That is a laughing joke.
He doesn't represent me, and he doesn't represent the majority of Canadians. The majority of people here today are not here to support Stephen Harper the last time I checked. Are there any Conservatives in the crowd? Because we should give them a warm welcome for having the courage to show up.
I invited Mark MacDonald, but...
Well, God bless them for showing up. I was talking to a guy earlier today who actually worked for John Diefenbaker in Prince Albert. Probably one of the last good Conservatives the country ever had. That was about 60 years ago. All joking aside, I don't want to take advantage of this opportunity. We are here today to sing a song together to inspire us in this community to get out and vote and to ensure that Stephen Harper's government goes down to the defeat it so richly deserves. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you all of you for coming out. This reminds me of why I'm so proud to represent this community when people show up in such numbers for the right cause and the right reasons. Thank you so much.
Sorry, that's a terrible introduction. I'm not very good at introducing people.
I'm Paul Manley. I'm the Green Party candidate in Nanaimo Ladysmith, for those of you that don't know. And I know many of you have been to many a rally that I've organized about the Harper agenda in this community. We were talking about what Stephen Harper was going to do well before he was elected. And after he was elected, we have been organizing in this community and organizing. I was at the SPP in Montebello when he was working on that secret deal with George W. Bush. I was at the G20 in Toronto and the G8 when they did the largest mass arrest of citizens in this country. 1,200 people rounded up and detained in cages for 48 hours. 1,200 people, the largest mass arrest in Canadian history. It was shocking, shocking to go to Canada Day after that and think about what was happening to our country. I've worked with the Department of Fisheries on historic videos about the biologists in this country, and I've been through the archives at the Department of Fisheries. And it's a shame that those archives have been trashed and burned. That's a sin.
Yeah.
I've organized here with friends like Fred Speck as part of Common Causes, bringing together First Nations, the labor movement, non-government organizations to rally against Bill C-38 and C-45 and all the cuts to the environmental legislation, cuts to First Nations programs. I've been involved, I've done climate change rallies in this community for 350.org, Lead Now, Defend Our Coast. All these other things that we're seeing damage done by the Harper agenda. I did a town hall here that I organized about the end of the health accord. The health accord ended because Stephen Harper would not meet with the premiers to extend this agreement that was crucial for our country. I did a rally, organized another rally against the Unfair Elections Act. They called it the Fair Elections Act. There's nothing fair about it. And make sure that each and every one of your friends and neighbors has checked to make sure they're registered to vote, because people are being cut off the voter registry. And they're making it more difficult for people to vote in this election, and you need to make sure that you get out and get out to vote. I would like to thank Eleanor for the welcome. We're here on Nanaimo territory. And that's one of the things we've seen as key, the disrespect of First Nations in this country. The Supreme Court has been, telling the government over and over and over again, you need to have a respectful relationship for these projects that you want to push through. I led the charge on Kinder Morgan. I did the first video, 2010, exposing the Kinder Morgan expansion pipeline with Rex Weiler, one of the founders from Greenpeace. These are issues I've been working on for a long time. Stephen Harper said he would change our country so he couldn't recognize it. We are going to get our country back. And we're going to start with some great singing. And then on election day, we are going to make sure that the Conservatives are defeated, and we don't need to worry about the Conservatives in this riding. I've knocked on a lot of doors in this riding, and the Conservatives are fed up. I asked people at the door, have you ever considered voting Green? And they're telling me, I voted Conservative all my life, but I'm not going to do it this time. Give me your pamphlet, son. Over and over again. People that have been voting Conservative all their life see the light on this. When you see, things like veterans disrespected, Coast Guard cuts, ignoring the environment, cutting the CBC. That was something that the Conservatives created, the CBC. We're going to end this, and we're going to end it with a song. So thank you, Louise, for putting this on.
No problem. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we'll get Sheila Malcolmson up, NDP candidate.
Good evening. I'm Sheila Malcolmson. I'm candidate to be Member of Parliament for Nanaimo Ladysmith for the New Democrats.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you to Auntie Eleanor. Honored to be on Nanaimo territory tonight. It's the foundation of where we stand and where our community comes from and where our community is going. And thank you to the organizers bringing us together. It is very important in a hard political battle, hard times when the Harper government so wants us to be discouraged, to stay home, to be fearful, for us to come together in public squares like this and to raise our voices in solidarity. It's good for the soul, and it's common cause. We're all here on the same side tonight. And we're seeing in this community the damage that the Harper government has done. We see good jobs lost. We see the Conservative policies of rip and ship exporting jobs right on our doorstep. And we see this government interfering with the kind of sustainable, long-term local jobs that we know this region can innovate and can have. And the Conservatives are blocking that every way they can. We see the environmental damage that's happening from the Harper agenda. We see citizens intimidated from protesting. We see scientists muzzled. That's right in our community. We see those impacts. And every night, knocking on doors, we talk with vulnerable people who are feeling deeply insecure about their future. Whether it's young mothers fearful about being able to keep shelter and keep their children fed, or whether it's seniors at the most vulnerable time in their lives when they should be respected and they should be cared for, being again put into fear. And we have such an appetite for change in this country and in this community. And I am so relieved and excited and honored to know that people are still engaged. More and more people are going to come out and vote. People are determined to stand up against the Harper agenda. We are going to do this together on October the 19th. And we are so ready for change. We are going to sing that change tonight as well. With thanks to the brave public servants who are standing up, not being intimidated, and with thanks to the organizers for bringing us together tonight.